guys are not, as we often say, these guys just didn't get dressed today in a fancy uniform and decide to bring some stuff with them. No, all the stuff that they have is fully researched, it's fully correct for the time period, and they can tell you all about it. And we have our good friend here, Mr. Scott Ruggieri, to tell you a little bit about it. Mr. Gavin Algieri.
Hey everybody. So the three of us standing in the camouflage uniforms are portraying men of the 41st Armored Infantry Regiment of the 2nd Armored Division. It was one of the only Army units in the European theater of operations to receive the frog skin camouflage uniform in the Army HBT cut. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of the Marine Corps in the Pacific using this camouflage pattern. It was a lot more common among the Marine Corps, but the pattern was given to certain Army units like the 41st and units within the 2nd Infantry Division. So the uniform consists of two pieces, so the trousers and the tunic, and really you're supposed to wear your HBTs over your standard M37 wool uniform. So you have the trousers and your wool shirt underneath, and your HBTs go over the top. When the 2nd Armored landed in Europe on June 7th, it was extremely cold. It was not warm. It was around 50. It was high 40s, low 50s. It was rainy, it was overcast, so it was pretty chilly. They weren't issued these HBTs until around July. So when they were coming ashore in Normandy in June, they would have just been wearing the regular wool uniform. So around July, around the time of Operation Cobra, they would have been issued the frog skin HBTs. The rest of the uniform just consists of standard infantry equipment, so low quarter boots, M37 wool legging, or M30, the M1928 leggings, your cartridge belt, which holds 10 end blocks for the M1 rifle, your bayonet, bandoliers, your first aid pouch, spare ammunition, bandoliers that would carry 6 end blocks per bandolier, your canteen, obviously. And, you know, soldiers would pick up and carry whatever, you know, so some of the guys would be carrying German equipment.
Can you give us a quick synopsis of what your weapon?
The M1 rifle was introduced in
Have one of these guys here. You go out front. No, you talk.
Okay. All right. So the M1 rifle was introduced in 1937. It's a semi-automatic rifle. It fires a end block, which is just a clip that holds 8 rounds of 30-06 ammunition, or 30 caliber ammunition. Squad tactics differed between the United States and Germany, so a lot of people think that Germans were backwards for using a bolt-action rifle throughout the war, but in reality, their squad was more centered around squad firepower than individual firepower. So our viewpoint was that each rifleman should be able to put as many rounds down range as possible, whereas the Germans were more focused on protecting your squad machine gunner, and allowing him to do the things that he needs to do to for you guys to capture your objective.
All right. Good.
Yep.
Thank you. What do you guys want to ride on the?
I'll do the Marine Corps uniform next. So, the Marine Corps operated primarily in the Pacific Theater of Operations during the Second World War. Their uniform was pretty similar to the Army but differed in a few ways. You know, they have similar boots to the Army, just differed in shape a little bit. The leggings were about the same, just a different number of buttons and eyelets and stuff like that. The Marine Corps did have a wool uniform, but as soon as they, you know, started to focus on the Pacific, that was kind of done away with pretty quickly. So their main uniform was the P-41 utility uniform, which consisted of a very light shade olive green uniform. Now, this man here is portraying a mortar section leader, so he would be carrying a M1 carbine and a map case, and the rest of his equipment. He's got magazine pouches for his M1 carbine. Each magazine carries 15 rounds of 30 carbine ammunition, so he's got 4 magazines plus 1 in the rifle. And they did have bandoliers similar to the N-block bandolier that would carry extra magazines for the carbine. He's carrying his iconic Marine Corps fighting knife, which is known as a K-bar. You would be hard-pressed to find a Marine in the Pacific that did not have one of these. It was extremely popular for the Marines to be carrying them. On his rear side, he's got his canteen. Now, the Marine Corps canteen is pretty unique looking when compared with the Army 1910 style canteen. A lot of them called it the dog ear pattern. Among collectors, it's called the third pattern. It's got a drainage hole in the bottom. It's the later style, but earlier in the war, the Marines did have a canteen that was similar to the 1910 style. He's got his first aid pouch as well, and a lot of. If you look at the top of his head, he's wearing a frog skin cover, and it was extremely popular among Marine quartermasters to make articles of clothing out of discarded pieces of equipment. So shelter halves. The Marine Corps was issued with a shelter half with this pattern, the frog skin pattern on it. So a lot of them would make use of discarded material to make, you know, overseas caps and forage caps and stuff like that. Then he's got his M1 helmet, which has the same pattern on it. Around late 1942, 43, the Marine Corps adopted this helmet cover. So when they landed on Guadalcanal in August of 1942, they did not have that helmet cover. They were just using plain steel pots. And then as time went on, they became fond of the camouflage pattern because of how useful it was to the Marine Raiders. And that's, you know, it's pretty much his equipment. It's a basic combat load, so he's not carrying all of the equipment he would have been carrying had he just landed on an island.
Yeah,
So
we would have the mortar and all that stuff.
that's all I have to say.
All right.
Nice.
I told you these guys don't fool around. They didn't just start doing this today. As a matter of fact, if I may say, this is a father-son team. So,
Yes.
and they are excellent at what they do. And our other two models or demonstrator or living historians are down on the M20. You'll see them pass by. And actually, that's very appropriate because the M20, particularly the camouflage scheme, you can see was very common during Operation Cobra, immediately after D-Day, June 6th. Mr. Scott and Gavin Ojiri, thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.